And then another one, is there any forbidden topics?
No, not really. I generally try to kind of keep my private life out, so just the new projects and the around the world
So
voyage.
no any private questions?
Yeah, no, I generally don't do that. I kind of leave that.
Чуть-чуть правее, потому что там телек так
Куда?
классно видно с кадрами. Чуть-чуть буквально. Because on TV very great pictures.
From my side, I don't have my private questions, but from this Facebook yachting group,
Yeah,
they're asking
like
one.
like what?
At least 3 people wanted to ask what happened with the guy who was in the movie.
Oh well, he was just crew, so that was not. Yeah, no, we didn't.
Okay, that's it. There was no.
No.
Okay, let's do it. Да? Можем? Short introduction in Russian.
Yeah, no problem.
Ну что, дорогие друзья, слушатели и зрители, мы на выставке в Дюссельдорфе, и это совместный проект яхтенного радио и YouTube канала Гуппи Sailing. И у нас интервью с самой Лаурой Деккер. So, hello.
Hello.
So, first few shorter questions, then we'll be asking for longer stories.
Okay.
Less questions, more stories. Okay, of course, that your fantastic trip that is already in the past, and there were so many publications about it in all types of media, but still people want to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't mind, there will be some questions about that one,
Yeah, of course.
about that trip.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, the first question is why everything finished well? Why everything went well?
Why did everything go well?
Yes.
Well, good preparation and lots of practice. So I think those are the keys to any success, that you just practice and prepare and overthink and just prepare again, check again, and yeah, it's just super important.
Yeah, I'm asking that also because in the media recently, last week, I read about, I don't remember the names, about the girl who was doing the same kind of circumnavigation and at 2010, and she lost the boat, and now boat is founded after 8 years.
Right, yes, yeah.
So it wasn't well with her, at least.
It's totally, yeah, she chose to go on a racing boat, which I would have never done. She did a couple of things that I wouldn't have done personally. The preparation was much quicker and faster, more hectic. Like I spent years preparing this, and she prepared it in maybe a year. She had lots of sailing experience, but the preparation was still very different. And choosing to sail a big race boat on your own that's super difficult. And then she had a lot of failures with gear, with steering gear, like the autopilots, and yeah. I chose to just go on a slower cruising boat and have a wind pilot and have like 3 backup autopilots, and so it's, yeah.
Okay, but when like the spectator is watching that movie, because we know about that through the movie,
Yeah.
this documentary movie, the Maidentrip.
Yeah.
Yes. In the movie, everything is so nice, so sweet, and so easy.
Yeah. No, I didn't make the movie.
Definitely, there were many troubles.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know why she chose to not put that in there, or because I also filmed a lot of the sailing, and I didn't film quite as much in the storms because I was just too busy actually with the boat, so I didn't really film that. But there's definitely a lot more sailing footage that she chose not to put in. So, I don't know why.
The storms, was that the most scary and dangerous thing during that trip, or something else?
No, I don't think so. The thing that my parents were most worried about is actually the being on land. So we talked more about, oh, when you arrive somewhere, you anchor, you first go and make friends from some other boats, you know, find an older couple or people with kids and go and make friends with them. And then you go together on land. So they just really didn't want me to go alone into towns or land or do things on my own on land. So they were much more worried about that than the actual sailing. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So they were sure you will be doing well in the sea, but not on land.
Well, because that's not something that we could practice or that I have in hand. And of course, they talked to me a lot, and they were pretty sure that I understand. But still, if somebody wants to be mean and you're alone, a girl, then yeah, there's not much you can do. So they just said, never go anywhere alone. And I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the human being is the most dangerous beast in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah.
Remembering another story from the latest media about the again, I don't remember the name. He's American, not young man, who decided to fulfill his dream of the solo circumnavigation and disappeared. And there were very strange SMSs and messages from him, something about pirates and blah blah blah. So this just reminded me the question: have you ever seen and met pirates?
No, not really, but I also really avoided the areas where lots of pirate attacks are sighted. And when I crossed the Indian Ocean, like around Madagascar, generally northern Madagascar, and I was in the south, but still I chose to turn my tracker off, or have it was delayed for a week, so it wasn't on the correct, yeah, and just, yeah, be aware of it and avoid those areas, and I did do that.
So again, practice and practice and practice.
Good preparation.
You made your route.
Yeah.
Well.
Research, preparation.
Yes. How often did you speak with a boat, with a Guppi?
A lot. Yeah, no, really. It's I think the boat just kind of became my best friend, and
Yes.
I really felt like it was Guppy and me who managed to do all of it. So. Yeah.
During that trip, did you speak with anybody else? Boat and some other.
Not really. I would the dolphins or something when they were
Okay.
there, but no, it was mostly the boat. No.
And yourself, probably.
No. I
Not
found
much with
somehow
yourself.
that was just really stupid, so I would just talk to the boat.
Okay, and this is of course a very good moment to move to the story. Of course, I know and I read on the internet what is going on with Guppi now, but can you tell, please, about that
About
situation?
the Guppy that I sailed around in. Yeah, so I lended her to an organization who would go sail with kids, and then they wanted to sail her to LA to do it there. And after about a month or two, they actually put her on a reef in the Pacific. But I think the worst thing is that they just didn't contact me. I saw one or two pictures the whole time, and the first picture, I'm sure they could have gotten her off the reef if they would have contacted me. I could have told them do this and that, and then they could have saved her, but they didn't tell me. They didn't tell me anything, and they just left the boat there, and they slept on the boat, and just left it, and then didn't tell me anything. So I think that's kind of the most frustrating part. They just treated it as a piece of plastic, which for me it isn't.
Really, that's hard to believe.
Yeah.
That somebody can do that with such a famous yacht,
Yeah.
which belongs to such a famous and nice person.
Well, yeah. No, I find it strange to think.
But you definitely sail now those days. So do you rent or what
yeah, I
boat
just
do
go on
you-
friends' boats.
Oh, friends boats.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so what is, not speaking about your project, what is your life now? What are you doing?
Mostly the projects.
Mostly the project.
Yeah, no, that's kind of my whole life. This is what I want to do, and so I spend actually kind of every free minute I have with that. And in New Zealand, I started working as an electrician, marine electrician apprentice, just like learning how to do all the electrics on boats, and I do presentations as well still.
But where do you physically live most of the year?
Well, my home base is New Zealand, but then for the project I came back to Europe end of last year, and I've been here just to work on the project and probably stay here for a bit longer. But my home base is definitely still New Zealand.
And when were you there last time?
Last year, yeah, it was for New Year I was here.
Yes. Okay, so now let's speak about the project.
Yes.
You speak,
Yeah.
and I record.
All right. So I think after the trip, like especially from the presentations and people would ask questions, and then I realized how much I learned from it. It's you just walk into yourself all the time. If something goes wrong, there's nobody to help you, and you just, you know, if something breaks, and it's like, oh, I should have done that differently, and so you really get to know yourself in a very fast, intense way. Because you can't give somebody else the fault and say, hey, you didn't do that right. It's all really your fault. But also the different cultures and the people that I saw, and it kind of gave me a much bigger view of the world. It opened a lot of doors for me. And just this view of, I don't have to do everything like they say at home. I can do things my own way, and I should actually do that. It really opened my eyes to that. And then I worked for some schools in New Zealand, and I saw kids like 15, 16, 14, and they're kind of lost. And I think everybody kind of is in that age. You're a teenager, and kind of every adult around you tells you, oh, you should do this or you should go there. But that's not really what you want to do. Like in your heart you feel, well, that's not what I want to do, and you want to actually follow your own heart. But most kids aren't able to find that without a little push, like without a little challenge. And I think especially these days, because it's so easy to just grab the phone and kind of completely ignore everything you want to do anyway. So I think it's super important, especially for this age group, to just go out and leave it all behind for a little while. No phone, get out on the water, find yourself, talk to each other. So the plan is to have a big boat, like 24 meters, and then take groups of 12 students on the boat, so 13 to 17 years old. And they need to do everything themselves. So they need to sail the boat, they need to cook and clean and navigate and just do everything. I'm there if it really should go wrong. But they need to do it. So it's like an intensive course of getting to know yourself and preparing for this adulthood, which I'm convinced like theory and school, especially here, doesn't do that quite enough.
And now you are looking for some support.
Exactly.
Because the step number one is to have the boat. Build the boat.
Step number one was preparing everything, seeing if it's viable, and designing the boat. And now step number two is actually getting the money to build the boat. Step number three is then sailing with it.
Yes.
We're now at step number two, finding sponsors and financing and building the boat.
So the fundraising, that's what is most important now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And here is the printout of the comments in our Facebook group. The radio has the group in the Facebook. It's called it's really hard to translate, but it's like only for the yacht crazy.
Okay. Yep.
Yes, and many questions were asked already. There was, what else? Oh yes, this is the question. Do you, they were like, before you became the youngest, there were other girls who were the youngest. So do you keep any contacts with those who were before you?
Yeah, I have in pretty good contact with Tanya Abbey, who already quite a while ago, and he sailed around, and she was then the youngest, but this was in the time of Saxons, and she did it in a little 8-meter boat, so
Okay.
yeah, I'm in good contact with her because I think her trip was the most like me. She also stopped a lot, and she was really just exploring the world. Really, it was the sailing was good, but it was just getting to know herself and the world and finding this place. And for me, it was the same. And then the other ones that were kind of all around the same time that I did it, I think they were more chasing a record. And yeah, in the end, somehow I did get the record, but that wasn't the main purpose. And I think also partly because that wasn't my main goal, I maybe got it.
Yes, yes. It always happens like that.
Yeah. But then, Jessica Watson, I know personally. She is the youngest to sail non-stop around the world. And Abby, sadly failed. I don't have a lot of contact to her. I met Mike Perham once. He did it as well. I think he was 17 when he finished. So, yeah, they were all kind of around the time that I did it.
Have you seen, from time to time there are movies about yachting coming to the screens, like, I mean the big movies, not the documentary.
Yeah.
Have you seen the last one? That's this Adrift?
Which
Adrift.
one? Adrift, yes, I did see it. Yeah, about the couple who delivered a boat and then got in a storm.
Many people said it's very realistic, other parts said it's not realistic at all. What do you think?
I think every sailor who watches a sailing movie goes, well, that's not true. Because making a movie of sailing, it's super difficult. You can't film in an actual storm, so you have to somehow recreate it. So I think it will never be 100% perfect. But from all the sailing movies that are out there, I thought Adrift actually did a really good job. There were definitely parts in the film that I thought, okay. But then you think, it's a movie.
Okay.
But actually, I think they did a pretty good job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever ask yourself why they made a film about them, not about me?
They're working on it actually, but
really?
Yeah, but they wanted to use Guppy for the film, and now Guppy's gone, so that is definitely a big dent in where to go. But they're working hard on the script, and it's hopefully all happening. Yes.
Great. What else? Well, I think I have asked almost all. Of course, there was a lot of emotions in these comments.
Yes.
Some people say that, there is no exact Russian word. If to translate to English, they're saying that you are their idol, but idol is not definitely the good translation, because idol is something like phonetically. There's some phonetical feeling, so they just want to say that they love you very much.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you very much.
Yes, I think I am done, and now Anya asks.
Yeah, I want to ask you several questions, like woman to woman. Okay?
Should I go?
Because we are living on the boat 2.5 years on our own boat and traveling. Yeah. So, what did you miss more, a man's shoulder or washing machine in your trip?
Neither. No, I missed most fresh food and a warm shower. I did miss that. Those were definitely, the food.
Okay, and you told about shower, because for me it's very, very important. I always care about how many water we have on the boat. Okay, we need more or not, something like this, because I'm crazy about water. And what did you do? You didn't have water maker as I know, yes?
Yeah, no, I didn't.
So when you went to cross the Pacific Ocean, really big ocean, how many liters did you get? How did you get a shower? I understood that it was a cold shower. but
Well, I had
your experience.
I had 150 liters of water, which is not a lot, and no water maker, so I caught rainwater and
Rainwater.
Yeah. So I never used my tank water to shower. It was just salt water. I would just get buckets and have a shower like that. And then when it rained, I would just jump outside and get all my bottles and buckets and everything I could find and do my washing in the mainsail and have a shower. And, yeah, the rain was like, I still, if it rains, I'm like, oh,